Welcome back to Life and Style Wednesday edition. It's all about relationships. And keep sending your love on our Facebook page, that is KTN Life and Style, on Twitter and Instagram, KTN Life _style. SMS is 22840. Right now, though, it's all about forgiveness on Nisamehe. And they have Pastor Chris and Pastor Eston in studio for an incredibly amazing time.
Yeah, Nisamehe is that segment that allows us to just go into people's pain, because Relationship Wednesday is wide, it is broad. It's not just about a man and a woman, a husband and a wife.
It's true.
It is about families, it is about friends, it's about people who've been in their lives. And this gives us an opportunity to just heal people so that they can relate well. You have dealt with rejection right from the point of childhood.
Yes.
Right, just tell us about that.
Well, I was born in a family of 8, and I'm the sixth born. And when Mama got pregnant with me, she didn't know that she's pregnant.
Right.
And at that point, normally when a woman gets pregnant,
It's supposed to be a celebration.
Acid, yes, and the acid goes up, So the ulcers, the peptic ulcers, flared up, and she would throw up here and there. So my father came for her and took her to the hospital. And the doctor looked at her and did some tests and affirmed that she's pregnant. And my daddy says, if this is the thing that is causing my wife to be so sick, we would better get rid of it.
Terminate it.
So innocently. But then the doctor says, no, we can deal with this matter. And that matter was rested at that. So when I was born, I always tend to believe that that's where issues began, because the words that we speak with our mouths really affects the environment that we are in.
Right.
So when I was born, I grew up normally like any other child. Ahead of me, I have brothers and sisters ahead of me, or before me, and behind me are 2. I was this child who is not so blunt in class, so to speak, or in mind.
That means?
I would get things a little bit more faster.
Okay.
In performance and in understanding.
Right.
And with such a child, it is difficult even to relate. Somehow it is difficult to relate to the people of your age, or the people below you, below your age. Sometimes those who are below your age, you are tempted to think that these guys are really wanafanya utoto.
Okay.
So you are tempted to feel like you are at par with those who are a little bit ahead of you.
A little bit ahead of you.
But now, at an age when I was in almost going to school, those days we didn't have preschool, and we didn't have the pre-unit and all that. So it is straight to nursery school, then class 1. So when I was just about to go to nursery school, my 2 brothers whom I follow, happens to be taken for initiation, for circumcision.
Okay.
And culturally, in some tribes in Kenya, culturally, when boys get circumcised, they have got nothing to do with those who are not.
Who are not circumcised.
Yes.
So at what point really do you begin to feel that you're rejected?
Now that particular time.
That particular point.
That particular point.
Oh.
Because at that time, when they have just been circumcised, and I'm quite very young. My brother is about class 3, and I'm in nursery school.
You didn't think that was because you were too young?
Of course, that is what I thought. But you see, again, I don't understand so many things at that time. But I'm feeling like when now my brothers cannot relate with me normally, like they've been relating with me, something is not right.
Okay.
I can't play with them anymore like I've been playing with them. I cannot talk to them like I've been talking. They are not mature, and I'm a child. Yet we are not so much at par.
Was that really that they rejected you, or was it just what was placed on them by the culture?
Now, you see, when you talk about the spirit of rejection, it is not necessarily someone is willing to do it or someone is willing to reject you, but there are things that comes on board which you will be able to realize as I share my story, that really punches on the person.
Okay. So what are some of the things that you can look at, just looking back, you know, and pointing out that these were hallmarks of rejection for you?
All right. I remember one time when I was, it was in 1993. There was a famine all over the land, and back in the village, the food is being cooked around when we are just seated around, and there's not really much to cook. At that time, my sister is mashing the food, the only food that evening or for that day, and we all of us seated there, and I'm just seated somewhere at the corner.
Is it your older or your younger sister?
No, my older sister.
Okay.
My older sister. And as she did that, and I'm just seated somewhere at the corner. The food is ready, and then everyone is being served with the food. I've not given a plate.
And you're not given?
And I'm not given.
Okay.
Coincidentally, I totally say it was so coincidental, because I was seated somewhere in a corner, particularly in a corner.
So what was this doing to you? In several places, and I'd still need to know the others, but in several occasions, you begin to feel that you're being left out. What was that doing to you?
Definitely, it was causing so much trauma to me, because I would feel like I am a special child. Like there are things that I'm not a normal child. Like I'm not qualified to some level. Like there are things that I'm supposed to do to be qualified to be among people. My esteem really went down, and it became so difficult even for me to speak. And funny enough, at that time I also became I became a stammerer, a bad stammerer.
Because your self-esteem had...
Yes, is going down.
Okay.
And I remember at some point I was this Kanono, Kiasi, and they used to call me, my family members had nicknamed me Matetei. You know, the word Matetei means the mbata, how the mbata walks. Yes, how the duck, is it called duck? Duck, yes. How the duck walks. So I used to walk like this, so they'd call me Matetei. I do not remember whether it was really my body size or it was that I was smaller and then my tummy is out, but I used to walk funny. So at that particular time, I would not really speak out anything that was so interesting or that would cause people really to appraise me.
Did you ever feel at any point, that like there was deliberate, at some point, deliberate mistreatment, or was it just circumstantial?
To begin with, I felt it was circumstantial, because I wouldn't understand. But at some point, I felt like it is deliberate, because now, when I realized that I cannot even enter into my brother's bedroom, or I cannot enter into my brother's house, because I am not circumcised like them, and we're almost the same age, I felt that like these guys are really mishandling me. My brothers would beat me around anyhow.
I thought that would be normal for...
It is normal.
For a small, if you're the younger one in the family, sometimes for the older ones to get a bit naughty and bully.
Yes, it is a bit normal. But you see, when such a thing happens, parents are always around to handle some issues. Like if the brothers mishandle the young one and beat him around or bully him around, the parents are always there to moderate. I would run to my parents and I'm like, Mommy, nimechapwa. Like, you should just keep quiet and that's it.
Okay. So at the point now that your self-esteem has been affected,
yes,
to the point you begin becoming a stammerer, what age was that?
That was, well, I cannot remember the age really, but I was somewhere in class 1, 2, around there.
Pretty young still.
Yes, quite young. Quite young.
So what happened to you when you get to about your teenage, the place where people become more self-aware?
Yes.
Did that change?
That did not change. It still continued. Even when I personally was initiated to manhood, I would still not access my brothers as such. When now I felt now I'm a man enough, I would still not access them.
Did you feel the need that you needed to prove yourself?
Yes. Now, any child who operates with or who has a low self-esteem, either out of a perceived or a real self-esteem, would want to do things here and there to prove to other people that I am also there.
Okay. Okay.
You know, so at that time, I would joke around and I would do anything just to get their attention. But then I realized that even as much as I tried to do it, it still couldn't meet the standard. Thank God, there's one thing that kept me alive, or there's something that kept my esteem alive. That was, I was not so bad really in education. So every time that I performed good and everyone
That would
would say,
keep you
wow,
going.
yes, that would make me feel, even if I'm not good here, I think there's something good about me.
But then how did that play a role, this feeling of rejection? How did it play a role for you in your adult life? So you've grown in childhood, you have felt that you were disconnected, but right now you're a whole grown adult.
Yes,
So how did that play out in your adult life?
I became a bit rebellious, quite rebellious. I wouldn't be given instructions and follow. You want me to do this, I do this. And I would resist any correction. So I grew up now knowing that it is me and me. Whatever I think and whatever I plan to do, that's me. No one can question me. So now that rebellion is what now took toll on me for a long time. You see, you cannot live alone. You need people to mentor you. You need people to tell you, no, this is wrong, this is right, this is wrong, this is right. But now I couldn't listen to anyone. Because after all, when you come with a quest to tell me, Eston, what you're doing is wrong, I would become very defensive and you'll never see me again.
So apart from rebellion, is there any other way that your defense was playing? And how did you relate? Were you relating normally growing up? So were you relating normally with people who are not authority? Because rebellion is your resistance to authority.
Yes.
But what about people who are not authority in your life?
They are
friends,
yes.
ladies,
Yes.
as you're growing up.
At that time, still in primary school, I went and I looked for friends, and these friends were actually, I don't know what to call them in English, but hawa vijana wenye wanaajiriwa kufanya kazi za nyumbani. Now those became my mates in class 7. So anyone who would not question me, or anyone who I would speak to instead of them speaking to me, I would relate so well. But if I would admire anybody who is in authority, I would endear myself. Because still in me, I desired someone who can mentor me. I was still that innocent boy who needed mentorship. So every time that I saw someone and I admired them and I realized that these guys have got a good spirit or a good heart, I would really endear myself to them.
So it did not get you to the place where you would allow yourself to get into abusive relationships? Because sometimes when people have been abused, in a way, they get addicted to abuse. It didn't get you to the place where you'd give yourself in trying to prove yourself and not, you're afraid of losing relationships. And so you'd allow yourself to get into abusive relationships.
I thank God, no. I thank God I didn't get there. And I always say the reason as to why I didn't get there is by God's grace, because my father really brought me up, or brought us up in church. So in me, I knew everything about God. I knew I need to love God. So one of the places that I really ran to is that I would sing quite well. I'm a singer, and I would sing quite well even that time. So I would really run to church so quickly. So every time I saw anybody who has bad character, I would quickly detach myself, because again I would run to church.
So now, you've spoken about rebellion.
Yeah.
You've spoken about church.
Yes.
How do you tie up that?
Yes. Now, I would perform so well in the group, in the choir group, in the team. But after everything is done, I go. Remember, the rebellion I'm talking about is, if you want to correct me, you can't find me.
The church is a place of correction.
Yes, it's a place of correction. I would rather have a pastor stand there and preach to us generally.
But not on
But
a
not
personal...
me. If you come to me as a person, you'll never see me again there.
Okay, so tell me your journey, because now you're a pastor
Yes.
yourself. You've dealt with all this rejection. Um, where was your turning point, and how did you get to the place where you begin to overcome what you're
Yes.
fighting with?
Remember, once again, I said this has got nothing to do with my father or my mother or my people. I always believe that the great people go through stuff. And as a pastor, I believe that when God releases a seed to someone, the devil will always fight that seed before it reaches where it's supposed to be. When I went to college, I involved myself in 1 or 2 relationships, boy-girl relationship. But it was also so funny that people would hate me. I have no idea why they are hating me. I have nothing
Is that the
I can
ladies?
point out. Literally,
Everybody.
the ladies, the lady that I'm with, the lady that I'm courting here, or the lady that I'm dating here, happened.
Is that in college? The lady
Yes, in
you were
college
dating
now.
in college?
Yes, in
Okay.
college now. As we used to talk over and meet over and over again, she would go to sleep and she would have funny dreams. You know, funny dreams about Eston, how evil and bad Eston is.
So that affected your relationship.
That affected our relationship so much.
Were you able to relate? Were you able to get into a relationship that was solid?
At that time, it didn't work. It
After
didn't work.
that?
After that, I let it go. It didn't work. So after college, now I now came and saw another girl and I got married. But it's still at some point in time, I cannot explain what exactly happened, and still the marriage didn't work.
It didn't work. How long? How old was the marriage? At
For
the point?
4 years.
It was 4 years.
Good 4 years.
What was happening within those 4 years?
I cannot point out and say now this is exactly what happened, but all of a sudden we would not really all of a sudden, but even from the very beginning, we would not agree on anything, and there was nothing that I would do that was acceptable or good in the marriage. And there was nothing that I would really buy or do that she would accept. So eventually she walked out. But now this is the time now I realized, oh, I think I must be dealing with something a little bit much more deeper than what I think. So now that's when I began to analyze myself, and I realized, I think this guy is too rebellious. I think this guy has become too proud. Because again, when a rejected child begins to build himself up, he bloats his esteem up.
So do you think that you have worked on your defenses?
Yes, totally.
You have?
Totally.
Right.
Totally.
Are you relating better with people now?
Oh, totally. Totally. I can assure you, once the beginning of everything to me was when I began understanding who really I am, what I need to be. I am a person as me. You know, around people, I'm still unique, so I have got to face life myself. Now that was the turning point. So I began now having people around me
you.
and accepting really to listen, to sit down and listen to someone.
Did you forgive, or have you forgiven the people who you felt either rejected you, mistreated you, knowingly or unknowingly?
It's biblical to forgive.
Did you forgive?
Yes, I did. Completely.
You have forgiven?
Completely, and
You relate with them
healed.
well?
Yes.
You would feel absolutely nothing?
There was a time my father would call me and I would never pick the call.
What about the lady who walked out on you after 4
We
years?
talk and
You talk.
laugh about it. We talk and laugh about it.
That's serious, Mwekali.
That's deep, and it teaches you so many things. You have to get to a point where you know what the problem is,
Yeah.
and you're ready to face it, change it so that things around you can change.
Yeah.
So we are the only inhibitors to our own happiness.
Yes.
And
it's a beautiful place that he is, where he is right now.
I want you to look at
Yeah.
this particular camera
Yes.
and speak to somebody who has or is dealing with what you dealt with,
Yes.
people who are dealing with rejection. Just in a minute, I want you to talk to them.
All right. It is important to understand that even if people do not accept you in any way or anyhow, you are the fan of yourself. you are the one who is going to praise yourself first. God has put a seed of greatness in every person. When no one can see anything about you, find out what is inside your heart for you. That is what is going to help you, and work out. Listen, if you cannot manage your emotions, if you cannot manage your anger, if you cannot manage your rebellion because you are rejected, then you can never manage the seed of greatness that God has given to your heart.
If you cannot manage your emotions, then you cannot manage the seed of greatness
Yes.
that is within you.
Well, that was Nisamehe for you. Now you know what to do. You were born for greatness. You've got a seed of greatness in you. And what you need to do is let it blossom by forgiving people who've hurt you before.